Let me thank both of you for your great work, and appreciate Dr. Rivlin, your service, and Senator Domenici, it's great to see you again back here with us.
Thank you.
I may not agree with every decision that you made. I don't think anybody ever will in any of these plans, but I think you've made some enormous service to getting a lot of the critical issues that are important to address out there, and I think that's a great service to both the Congress and to the American people. I want to pursue one or two things to get your thinking on it. One is, I understand under your plan, while lowering the top income tax rate, you would effectively end the tax break for investment income under your plan, and that is tax rates would be lower, but the government would basically no longer pick favorites between a worker's salary and an investor's profit. And in addition to your report, several other deficit reduction plans and President Reagan's '86 Tax Reform Act all included this trade-off, which would go a long way to ensuring that those who make the most pay a similar amount of taxes middle-class families do. Can you explain how you came to this trade-off, and do you believe that equalizing the tax treatment of ordinary and investment income is key to a bipartisan success in finding a deal of the type of magnitude that you both outlined?
It was key to our finding an agreement, and I think it's a sensible way to construct a new tax code.
And to me, before you came here, I said that we're fortunate, and we want to make sure you know that what you get, work product you get, is bipartisan. So we start with one, but we took votes on the issue you've raised, and that's the way the overwhelming majority wanted this package to be. So they put a good deal of bipartisan thinking into the package. Actually, for a couple of members of the group, the tax reform was the most important part of this bill, without which they would not have supported the recommendations. So I assume that taken separately, a number of those, one or two that I can think of, probably would have been against what you're talking about. But to get the whole package, including tax reform and lower rates, Republicans joined Democrats in our meeting, so we come to you with that established, the point you're trying to make. And I don't know what theory was in their minds about, but they were for the different treatment for investment, as you've explained it, and as Alice has indicated our cause it to be.
Your testimony underscores a critical need for Washington to remember that our first problem must be, as you put it, to accelerate economic growth and job creation. And I understand that you're still supporting a payroll tax cut as the primary job creation measure in your proposal. Can you explain how your proposal compares to the President's payroll tax cut from his jobs plan? And do you believe, given the current uncertainty, particularly in the European crisis, that it would be important to move forward with a similar proposal for 2013?
When we put this plan together, which was actually at the end of 2010, the President had not yet proposed, or the President and the Congress together had not yet proposed a payroll tax cut, a payroll tax holiday. We believed that it was really important to focus on job creation in the near term, so we put in our proposal a full year, both sides, employer and employee, tax holiday as an indicator of that importance. That's a lot of stimulus. Some of that was picked up in the agreement made subsequently, but not all of it. I think we haven't rethought what you would do with the payroll tax rate right now. But the basic message is we believe that it's important to keep the recovery going that the fiscal cliff would stop that recovery, and therefore you need to avoid the fiscal cliff and do the long-term reform at the same time.
I think it's a little known, but the truth of the matter is the first suggestion that a good stimulus approach would be a payroll tax. We called it a payroll tax holiday. We put it in for a full year as indicated, and still it had not caught on with anyone. And we went through a year when it still hadn't caught on, and then it was still in ours. We recommended it. It seemed to this senator that for all the stimulus people were talking about, that the payroll tax was far more simple and probably far more effective. I don't think we ought to do it again. It's very expensive, and we ought to get on with the next stage, which is what we're talking to you about.
Well, final comment, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the way in which you approach the challenges, the fiscal challenges, because I get concerned when I see some of our colleagues in the other body, their suggestion of how we meet those fiscal challenges. You can't put this all on the back of the middle class in this country, which in my mind is the core of what upholds, our ability in terms of the federal government and its resources. And there is a disproportionate effect upon the middle class in the context of some of the provisions like the House budget. And in your proposal, while the middle class shares in the responsibilities, it's not disproportionate. And I'm wondering if you were thinking about that in the context of how you fashioned this, or was that just how it came out, or was there a focus there in that respect?
No, we certainly focused on it, and particularly in the tax proposal, we wanted it to be at least as progressive as the current tax code, and we made that happen.
Mm-hmm. I think that the last point that Dr. Rivlin made, you can find in the report that it is more progressive than the tax code we are replacing. We worked very hard to make sure that was what the experts told us, and that's what we were doing. For some, it was a real shock when the experts said, yes, we're progressive and we are better than we are now. That's because it really is made progressive when you simplify and lower, and we also had something in there that took care of the working poor. Yep. And it started way back under President Ronald Reagan, but that's in this, although they collected in a different, more simple way than before, but that's in there, and that helped us move progressive, which I think we're substituting the word progressive for the broad scope effect on the American working people, and I think progressiveness is what we found to satisfy that yearning on our part that we be fair with it.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.